I work at E86 Limited. I'll be the one assisting the person that will be moderating this webinar with us, which we shall be having as well very soon on the webinar. So without further ado, I would like to welcome everyone once again to the webinar. I can see we have Jemilat and we also have Anointing Eze. Good morning, Anointing.
Good morning.
Yes. So today's webinar, we shall be introducing all the panelists and all the moderator as well that we shall be having on the webinar. So number one panelist for the webinar is Mr. Ayo Olubode. So the theme for the webinar as well that we shall be having today, this morning, before I introduce Mr. Ayo, is technological advancement and betting. We shall be focusing on assessing the socio-economic effect, empowering or endangering people living in low and middle income countries. So today's webinar theme is technological advancement and betting. Moving on to the first panelist that we shall be having for the webinar is Mr. Ayo Olubode. So I'll be quickly introducing Mr. Ayo by telling us a quick background profile of who Mr. Ayo is. Ayo Olubode is a seasoned project management professional with a rich background in human capital management, healthcare, and retail industries. Notably, Ayo has contributed significantly as a business analyst for the UK's largest public sector pension scheme, where they have successfully defined and implemented high-stakes initiatives. Ayo has offered valuable consultancy support to government departments and scheme administrators. If Mr. Ayo is there, I would like to welcome you, Mr. Ayo. Good morning, Mr. Ayo.
Thank you, Mr. Ola. Yeah, I'm over here.
All right,
and thank you for the brief intro as well.
You're welcome, Mr. Ayo. Good to see you. Good to have you on the webinar, brother.
It's good to be here as well. Thank you.
All right, good. All right, so moving on to the next panelist, we have Mr. Emeka Mba. So I'm going to also be talking about Mr. Emeka's background profile. So Mr. Emeka Mba is a philosopher, psychologist, and part-time lecturer at the National Open University in Abuja. His profound interests lie in ethics, specifically moral philosophy, as well as industrial and occupational psychology. Emeka is particularly passionate about promoting the ethical use of technology for societal progress and human advancement. If we have Mr. Emeka in the room, can you indicate by telling everyone hello, Mr. Emeka? Over to you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for having me on the webinar.
Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Mr. Emeka. Thank you so much for that. So we shall be moving on to the next panelist. And the next panelist is Mr. Shedrack Owotobe. Shedrack, also known as the Prof, is a passionate individual in the banking sector. He is a certified relationship and life coach, prolific writer, versatile musician, and dynamic motivational speaker. His mission is to empower youth to cultivate thriving lifestyles, reflecting his profound spiritual hunger and serving as a beacon of inspiration. If we have Mr. Shedrack in the room, can you say hello to everyone, please?
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me on this platform. God bless you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that intro, Mr. Shedrack. We're good to see you, and we're glad to have you as well.
It's a
All
pleasure,
right.
sir.
Yeah. So moving on to the next panelist, we have. Moving on to the next panelist, we have Jemilat Sheidu. Jemilat is a civil engineering graduate with 3 years of experience in betting industry. She brings valuable insight into gaming dynamics and its impact on today's society. Jemilat, if you're there, can you say hello to everyone so that everyone can hear you? And hello, Jemilat, are you there? Okay. Hello, Jemilat, can you hear me? All right. So moving while Jemilat is still trying to figure out her microphone, we shall move on to that we have for today's webinar. So the next panelist that no other than Mr. Eze Anointing, program specialist with a passion for gaming and sport, particularly soccer development initiatives. Anointing brings expertise in project. In the upcoming webinar, he will enrich exploring topics such as why people bet, opportunities, risk, and addictions. Do we have Mr. Anointing with us here? If you're here, please can you indicate by saying hello?
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. Hello, Lamide. Thanks for the
Yeah,
introduction.
yeah, Body, Mr. Anointing, good to see you and good to have you on the webinar with us. All
Thank you.
right. Yeah, thank you very much for that. So now that we have given a brief background introduction of our panelist and our moderator, we shall now be introducing the person that is going to be asking these lovely panelists that we have today. She's no other than Josephine Ikpe. Who is going to be moderating the whole webinar session. And she is a dynamic professional with over 5 years of experience in radio and television broadcasting, skilled in brand communication, content development, and social media management. Josephine excels in hosting on-air programs, conducting interviews, and delivering quality content through research. Her leadership, collaboration, and communication abilities thrive in our fast-paced environment, making her a valuable asset to any project. Do we have Josephine on board with us? If you're here, please can you indicate by saying hello to us?
Hi, thank you so much, Olamide. I do appreciate, and I'm so glad to be on this webinar. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good to have you too on the webinar as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right. So I believe everyone has introduced themselves and said hello to us. So because of time, we shall quickly run through the questions that we have for our lovely panelists. And I shall be passing over the microphone now to our moderator, who is going to be asking them the questions. So I will be assisting Josephine to ask some of these questions later on the webinar. So over to you now, Josephine.
Okay, thank you so much, Olamide, once again. A very good morning to everyone joining us all over the world. Just a little glance into what our theme of conversation on this webinar is about. We're talking about technological advancement and betting. Such a timely topic or theme to be delving into this morning. And our focus rather would be on accessing the socio-economical effects, empowering or endangering people living in low and middle income countries. So I'll start with our first panelist, Mr. Ayo Olubode. Hello, Mr. Ayo. Good morning.
Hello, Josephine. Good morning.
Such a pleasure again to have you on this webinar.
Thank you. My pleasure as well.
Okay, Mr. Ayo, we'll just go straight into asking you some few questions in line with our theme. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me first ask you how your journey into your career is. How have you been able to navigate your profession and in line with the top with the tech right now in our society today, your personal ambition and goal and drive as a career personality and business analyst that you are. Can you take us through that journey a little bit?
Yeah, so I think personally, from a very young age, I've always been more of an analytical person, more of a numbers person. And I did my bachelor's in business administration and then went on to do my master's in business analytics. And then I think at that point, I wasn't really sure where I wanted to go. So I'll be honest, I just kept applying to different companies. And then I ended up in the pensions sector, which is kind of similar to I would say to the betting world, because everything, I think life is sometimes a gamble depending on the way you're looking at it. But there's two types of gambling. There's where you have a control over your gamble, and there's where it's unpredictable. So I usually tell people pensions or investments like stocks and bonds is more predictable gambling. So you kind of have control over it. You kind of understand it. And then betting on the other hand depends on what you're betting on. So I'm a Manchester United fan, so I would never bet on Manchester United because I know it's a 60% I lose my money. So it depends. So those type of betting is kind of the more unpredictable betting world you'll find yourself. So so back to track. So yeah. I found myself then in the pensions world as a business analyst, and that's what brought me. I went to the same university with Ola, who is on the call. We both went to Essex University, so I think that was another point that brings me to this session today, to this webinar.
Okay, interesting. Thank you so much for that brief. Further, I will just ask you the next question, and Mr. Anointing and Mr. Shedrack, I hope that you are live there because I'll be throwing in some questions as well. And to everyone listening all over the world, feel free to drop some questions you may likely want to ask our panelists. Okay, so Mr. Ayo, how has the proliferation of betting activities impacted like the social fabric and economic stability of low and middle income countries, particularly concerning human capital development? How do you perceive that?
Yeah, so I think more betting means people spend more money on gambling rather than the more important things on education and healthcare. It also leads to addiction or crime. I'll just take us back to when I was in uni in Nigeria as well. So I remember I was a roommate with this guy, and he always used to bet, and I was always advising him that, you have no control over this thing, but it kept progressing to the extent that he started lending money to then borrow rather than investing in himself or investing in things that are controllable.
Yeah.
So I would say in our society today, we can educate our youth to kind of focus on investing in trainings or other relevant things that would help them develop their skills or career, and also help the low and medium countries do better. There's a lot of opportunities in Nigeria. There's a lot of technical gaps that can be filled in Nigeria as well. So I think betting takes a lot of the direction away from the positive side, and it makes people focus more on the illusion of getting rich in a day. I don't think that's how Rome wasn't built in a day. So I
Absolutely.
strongly advocate against betting. And I feel it has a negative impact on the youth in the society.
All right, interesting. Thank you so much for that insight. Mr. Anointing Eze, can you hear me? Once again, welcome to this webinar.
Thank you.
I know you've been there listening. So I'm just going to quickly ask you, okay? You are a specialist when it comes to gaming. I'd like to know, as a dynamic program specialist with, your passion for gaming and sports, can you provide us with a brief overview of technological advancement in betting, and most importantly, its significance to today's world and society?
Okay, that's a very good question. So naturally, as Africans, we grew up watching the basic sports we are all familiar with, is basically football. So if you didn't play football at home, you played maybe a video game, or you always, if you're in school, you were always trying to like play with your friends and stuff like that. So that builds some form of attraction to the sport. And over time, while we grow up to be adults, we saw that I can even make reference to the fact that while I was in school, I kept hearing my friends talk about over 1.5 or 2.5. I didn't know what they meant, because I know while you're playing football, you can't score 1.5 goals. You either score 1 or 2 or 3. So I didn't know that the reference was to betting. And now you have it at the palm of your hand. Before, it was brick and mortar. You had to go to like a physical store, get bet slip, try and tick out games, and maybe you didn't have access to when those games were being played and whatnot. But now, if you have an app, you can always just load your account and like see various games in different parts of the world and find out how your tickets are going. So they've made it very seamless. That's my point. So it's you can do virtual gaming. You can do you can bet on various kinds of sports. You can there are platforms now where you can join Telegram groups where people actually actively discuss the odds for a particular game. So you see where people are paying money to maybe get an analyzed set of outcomes for a particular game. Maybe they call it I don't know if you heard of a concept called too short odds or something like that. It means that no matter what happens, this particular game must enter. So if you have maybe 100K to spare, you say, okay, fine, if I put this 100K into this particular game, I'm getting like times of that. So it's an opportunity for people to meet ends meet as well. Even though I don't advise that people, I mean, like the conventional knowledge or wisdom is that you always bet what you can spare. So many people see it as a source of subsistence, which is tied to our topic today, because I mean, low and medium income countries, people are seeing betting as an out, like a way out from their current economic situation. And it gives that promise, because you see a situation where, okay, if I just put 100 naira here, I can win 50 million. And it has happened. You see where people are winning 20, 50 million, and when you hear stories like that, like, why am I even stressing myself? I know I'm trying to hustle, but it's not working. Let me just try and like play my luck and see if I will have like an economic turn in my life and stuff like that. So all that accumulates to the fact that this technology, it's as much as it's growing, it's alluring to African countries because of our economic reality, and it's if you don't manage, especially the orientation, because it's a very slippery slope. The moment you start, especially if you are like almost well to do, if it becomes an addiction, you can witness things like withdrawal, or maybe you can change your mood. For example, you can be high in your mood, but then you realize that, oh, the game I bet last night caught, that you see yourself frowning and stuff like that. So yeah, there's so many outcomes but the idea is to manage your expectation and always bet to what you can spare. So I think
that's interesting to know, and I love that you ended with bet with what you can spare. Now there's this situation with young people being overly obsessed, or will I say addicted, when it comes to betting. And when it comes to gaming as well, I think gaming would be the creative side of it. I do not know if there are any games that one plays and you would be able to win, some cool cash or win a lottery or all of that. But I know the young people, a lot of them are into betting. And it's sometimes I want to know, away from the monetary aspect and gains from this. Is this something attached to a psychological effect or impact that this betting thing has on young people, that they're so addicted to it, particularly soccer betting and the likes, and young people are really invested and addicted to it. Can you share a little bit of what you think would motivate these individuals to engage in sport bettings and soccer bettings, and the behavior intersects with this gaming culture as well?
Oh yeah, so there's behavioral economics around it too. So naturally, people love low probability risks. So I'll give you an example now. So yeah, the negative effect of losing 1,000 naira is greater than the positive effect of losing that 1,000 naira. So if you have let's say if you have a 100% chance of winning 1,000, but there's an 80% chance of winning 1,200 naira, you go with the 100% chance of winning 1,000 naira, right? Because it's basically guaranteed. Now, if you have a 100% chance of winning 1,000 naira and a 25% chance of winning 4,000 naira, you think about it, because that's times four. So it tickles your psychology a little bit. But now, if you now say, okay, let's say you have not a 100% chance of winning 1,000 naira and then 0.5% chance of winning 200,000 naira. You say, okay, maybe 100,000 is not so much, but if I don't take this risk of 200,000 naira, I will not win it. You see that these three scenarios alone play with because naturally, if you're someone that was adverse to betting and you are presented with these opportunities, you'll be like, what's just there? It's just a spare investment. What's the harm that it can cause? So yes, it plays with people's psychology. That's why people need to be well informed. I feel you have to know what with every investment, you have to be sure of what it is. You have to understand. So you have to be a lover of the sport in order to bet on it. Because you have to understand that if Nottingham Forest is about to play Man City this weekend, you can't bet that Nottingham Forest will win Man City. You have to be knowledgeable enough to know that Nottingham Forest will not win. Exactly. So passion for the sports also contributes to people's analysis, and this sports scene or these betting companies, they have algorithms that actually study betting behavior. So if you have an account to them, they study all your bets and the frequency of your losses. They target or they classify or categorize losers as their VIPs, because that's where they make money. They know that people that come and bet 1 million naira with 1.2 odds, and they're a problem. They categorize them as problem people because they know that these ones, they know what they're doing and they're going to make as much as they can. But that person that will come with 100 naira and wants to win 50 million is the person they like, because they know that if that person bets 20 times in a day, that's 100 times 20, and the person bets 20 every day of the week, that's only God knows how much they've gotten from those people. So they try to give you to target those kinds of people, and they use basic psychology and also the technology algorithm behind the interactions with those people and their sports.
Okay, thank you so much. You've spoken at length, Mr. Anointing Easy. That was really insightful. Over to our next panelist, Mr. Shadrach Owotogbe. Welcome. I think he hasn't unmuted his mic.
Oh, sorry. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Welcome to the webinar. Such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so we've been interacting with other panelists, and I've had Mr. Easy Anointing speak, and Mr. Ayo Olubode has spoken as well. So over to you, Mr. Shadrach. As a relationship and life coach, how do you perceive the impact of betting on personal relationship and family dynamics, especially among young individuals?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity. It's indeed a very great pleasure to be here today on this webinar platform. I believe so much that we are all acquainted with the word betting and all that. But I want us to understand something that in line with the impact of betting on relationships, personal relationships, family dynamics, especially among youth individuals, there is already much evidence that gambling or betting problems can significantly um, us to our personal relationships and to families more extensively. So in the more extreme cases, studies or researches have found out to dish out that we have a high levels of victimization and to more, or let me say, to more risks that people fall into, like committing suicide, through gambling problems and all that. Children in families were gambling, were at a point they were going through gambling problems and all that. So there are some or many evidences that people with a family history of betting have a higher risk of experiencing gambling problems themselves, of course. And the heightened risk of family, breakdown because of gambling problems may actually have a negative impact on the children, increasing the likelihood of losing touch with one parent, for example.
Okay. I think we lost Mr. Shadrach there. There's a little bit of network glitch. Okay. As soon as he returns, we'll continue the conversation. But let me have Mr. Emeka Moses. Hello. Welcome, sir, once again.
All right, thank you for having me, moderator.
Thank you so much for joining this webinar. All right, so I'll quickly ask, in your view, do you think engaging in betting enhance analytical thinking skills, or perhaps it does and it primarily it relies on like the chances and probabilities of people's view? How do you think that individuals differentiate between strategic decision making and the impulse behavior in the context of gaming? Sir.
Thank you very much, moderator. This
You,
is a very timely topic, particularly when you look at the trend and the implication of betting, particularly betting, sport betting in Nigeria, being in the classification of the low and middle income countries. Nigeria is one of the 23 countries. And going directly to the question you just asked, analytical thinking. If betting enhances analytical thinking, it does not. Betting is a game of chance. No matter how critical, no matter how smart, no matter how skillful you are, the chances that your analysis might be wrong is for me, betting is more of a chance. When we say what is a game of chance, what is a game of luck? A game of chance is something that you don't control the outcome. You don't control the outcome. For instance, I'm a football watcher, so I don't bet, but I have a club. Liverpool is the club I support. I watch football. I watch the trends. Now, if you watch football, some of the prediction, looking at the strength and the outcome of the successive games of the club you want to support, you want to bet. The club might be winning. 3 minutes or 7 minutes extra time changes. So it's something that you cannot really control out. So it is not, does not involve analytical thinking. It's a game of chance. And I want to talk of strategic decision making and impulsive behavior. Now, I think I'll have to make a comment here. Very, very critical. You know, most people who bet, I'm linking it to our topic of discourse, our team, looking at low income, Nigeria in particular, basically. Now, in Nigeria, most people bet not for fun, make money. And when gambling becomes compulsive, gambling becomes an addiction. Obviously, it takes control of you. So your chances of very, very dangerous. So in most times, it becomes an impulsive behavior. And impulsive behavior is when you cannot really caution something you can control. You know, a slight decision you want to do it. So basically, for me, it does not involve analytical thinking. Also, probability. Now, anything that has a game of chance and probability, analytical thinking might have a little more role to play in actualization. That's my point.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Emeka, for that insight. I mean, you've been able to clarify that gaming rather is a thing of chance. And I think that sometimes a lot of young people and people in the living in low middle income rather, and low and middle income, beg your pardon. I've seen that a lot of times people are being influenced by what they see and what they watch. Constantly, we see adverts or we see marketing plays, you know, people influencing gambling behavior, betting behaviors, and all of that, including gaming behaviors as well. And for people who have little or no knowledge or are a bit ignorant about these things and the implications that comes with it, they still employ in, you know, some of this gaming and betting betting activities without considering the repercussions on their mental health and the likes as well. So what do you think are the roles of this advertising and marketing in playing and influencing gambling behavior? Should the advertising or marketing companies or individuals or influencers as well? Social media is we're in that era where a lot of people, you know, use their platforms to promote and influence all this betting activities and gaming as well. So what roles do you think these platforms, individuals can play in further enlightening people on what they should and what they should not do?
Thank you very much. The social media, when you talk of advertisement and marketing in our present day, the social media plays a very critical, the role of advertisement and marketing in our present day cannot be underemphasized or overemphasized. Now, statistically, over 70% of Nigerian youths indulge in gambling. 70% statistically. And also we have over 40 sport betting sites estimated indicated. Over 6 million Nigerians actively participate in sport betting. These are facts, statistics available. Now, and how it is easy with the use of mobile phones, technology have made it easy to access all this. It's easy to bet. Don't need to go to the bet house. Now, it is the responsibility of the Nigerian Lottery Commission, that NLC, the online gambling regulatory body, that supervises this to ensure that the marketers, the advertisers, the companies in Nigeria Bet and the rest of them are properly to guided on how to educate the people, the young people, but most people go into betting because of the influence of peer groups, the prompts to make money quick. We have not even looked at the hazards. Yeah, gambling has a lot of consequences, increased consequences, particularly to mental health. It comes with anxiety, it comes with depression. Laziness is part of it among youths. You qualified youths that have a lot of skills decide to gamble. At the end of the day, wasting most of their times in unproductive activities, poor work performances, financial problem, relationship problem. These are some of the side effects of it. So to answer your question, the Nigerian Lottery Commission have to play a very, very key role. As I speak to you, I'm yet to see their impact. I'm yet to see their impact. Yes.
Do you,
I stand to be corrected. Pardon?
Yeah. Do you also agree with social media regulation, some of these adverts and all of that? Do you agree with that?
Of course, the social media should be, yes, of course, I agree that there should be regulation, particularly for the use of betting. Very, very important. It's very, very good to this. The social media should be regulated with respect to this. Because of when you look at the overriding implications, I'm saying this based on the overriding implication it has on our youth. And most of the youths, just like I gave you, looking at the statistics, most people in the advanced country, gambling is played for fun and entertainment. In low-income countries, most people gamble for living. Most of them gamble for living, and these have overall impacts in their finances. And when if it affects your finances, it affects your social life, it affects your everything about you, and most times leads to depression, suicidal tendencies, suicide, and all whatnot. So when you look at the implication, I think most times mental health is underemphasized. It's not looked at critically, and it has a lot of implications.
Okay, thank you so much. That was a very insightful one. And surely we're running with that knowledge. And for a lot of people just joining the webinar, please feel free to drop a comment or questions for our panelists, and we'll be taking them one at a time. Mr. Ayo, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, thank you for staying there. Let's get back to you, okay? I like to ask, right? As countries in low and medium income strives for economic development, how can what's your take on stakeholders balancing the potential economic benefits of the betting industry with the need to protect human capital and public health?
Yeah, so I think as Emeka Moses has rightly said, that NLC need to do a better job to regulate this. So also, as Anointing has also said, that things need to be done as well. There needs to be like the old algorithms that are being put there. It needs to restrict people that are over betting. So it prevents people from getting over addicted to it. Having said this, with the regulations being put in place, because I know there was a time where regulations were put in place, but people go onto other betting websites to then register. So if SureBet blocks some people, they go onto NigerBet to do that. So there's not much that the government can do in terms of regulation. And in a country like Nigeria, there's no central data collection. So other countries use like an NI system where if you register, your bank details are linked. But in Nigeria, I know we've got the old BVN and all of that, but I'm not sure if there are proper regulations being put in place to keep track of people that are betting on different platforms. So I know people register on like 5 different platforms, place 5 different bets. So there's no way of really regulating these people. So I think the more what Nigeria can do is to, I think, educate the youth to prevent more of this happening, and then reduce the negative impact on the society. So more of advising people in mainly universities. As Emeka has rightly said, I think you mentioned that 70% of Nigerian youths do engage in betting. So we need to target this audience and then let them know that these are the negative impacts of betting. If you're doing it for fun, it's fine for me. But when you're addicted, you know the signs when you have sleepless nights thinking of, oh, is Manchester United going to win tomorrow? Is Liverpool going to win tomorrow? That's where you know, okay, you need help. When you cannot get up or you feel lazy, when you see these side effects, that's when you should call for help. And in countries like mostly African countries or developing countries, there's not much guidance being put there where people realize, oh, I've got this issue. So I've met a lot of people that say, oh, I'm not addicted to betting, I do this for fun. But you can see the signs of addiction there. You can see them itching to go place a bet. You can see them. I can remember in uni, there was this guy. He never had a phone, but he would borrow somebody's phone and place a bet. He will ask you, oh, I'll give you 2,000 naira. I just need to use your device to make a bet. So those are the signs. But if you ask, oh, are you addicted? No, I'm not addicted. So you're definitely addicted, but you don't know the signs of this addiction. So I think the government needs to do a better job in educating the youth about these signs. As we also said, social media. I'm on social media and I've seen a lot of influencers advertising for betting companies. I think those are betting companies and alcoholic drinks are the most advertised products. I'll say on most influencers' page nowadays. So I think rather than obviously these betting companies want to make their money, so you cannot really tell them to do what they're meant to do. But NLC needs to do their job by going out there, getting these influencers to also let the youth know that, okay, betting is fun, but being addicted to betting is where the problem comes in. So you need to put that line there and make people aware of their acts. So I don't know. I think that would be the way forward.
Thank you so much. I mean, that's really very insightful, I would say. It all boils down to sensitization, because a lot of times people do not understand the opportunities they can leverage from the social media platforms and how they can get the right information that keeps them abreast. So thank you so much, Mr. Ayo. Let's talk about human capital development. I think that more or less the young people are really focused on what they can gain. Okay, they are betting and involving in this game so that they can, of course, profits for themselves. But generally, do you think that people, the young people, including older people, right, in low and middle income countries, should also focus on capital returns in terms of the society and their countries as well? Because if we're told there's any such thing as that, because when you bet or when you're involved in one of these gaming activities, are there such thing as revenue that comes in as sort of like capital for the country and the society as well?
I would say it depends on, this has to do with the betting companies, and it depends on where they're keeping the reserves. Okay. So I know most advanced countries, their reserves. So obviously when you need to set up a betting company, you need to have like a financial reserve. And most international companies are stored in dollars. But I know most like SureBet, they probably most betting companies in Nigeria probably store in dollars. So it doesn't really have an impact on the Nigerian economy. So if you place in a bet, it doesn't stay within the country as well. So there needs to be regulatory bodies putting these in place. So I'll answer your question straight. I don't think there's any human capital benefits when it comes to betting, especially in low income countries. It doesn't really come back to the society. We can, as I think it was another thing I mentioned, that you can see one person winning 15 million naira. That's one person in 6 million people that have placed a bet. So if you're looking at that one person, that doesn't give you the statistics of the 5,999 people that have failed. So it's just that one person that has gotten the benefit of 6 million people placing a bet. So there's no human capital benefit for that. It's just an illusion where only one rat makes it out of the pot. There's a lot of rats dying inside that pot. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So there's,
Yeah.
as I've mentioned, a lot of, especially I saw this picture on social media as well, where there were like 50 youths sleeping in the betting center. That's not, I don't think that's not positive. So that's one of the negative side effects we're seeing. People sleeping, they're waking up there. That's all their money has been put into betting, clearly, for them to be sleeping there waiting for money to come in. So it's just an illusion. There's no social or economical benefit to the society from betting.
Oh, okay. Great one. I mean, I'm just getting to know about that. I will get back to you, Mr. Ayo. Hello, Shadu, rather, Jamilat. Welcome. Hello, Miss Jamilat. Can you hear us? Oops.
Hi, Justin.
Okay.
I would love to add to. Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead,
I wanted
please.
to add to what Ayo just mentioned now. So regarding your question about developing human capital, whether there's anything there. Well, yes, so Nigeria's betting space is like a wild west, because every 2 days you see a new betting company coming up, and that's because it's largely unregulated, like Mr. Emeka pointed out too. But then, like, you have in developed countries like in the US or UK, where they have lottery systems that actually fund public schooling. So I mean, like, betting like gambling is a win, is a sure win for whoever is setting up a company. That's why you see all these companies popping. But then they've tried to leverage that that certainty of winning with economic or social benefits by funding public schools and maybe hospitals and whatnot. So if we had some form of sanity with the way we regulate our betting industry, if there's maybe if it's state sponsored, for example, you know that okay, whatever revenue is coming to a particular state, and then that fund can then go to socioeconomic benefits for the entire community, and that makes sense. But a situation where the profit just goes to maybe companies that just set up and they're taking advantage of exploiting people, and then there's no human capital development from that point of view. So that's what I want to add.
Rightly said there. Thank you so much. Miss Jamilat, can you hear us now? Are you there? Olamide, maybe you should reach out to her. I doubt if she could hear, if she's hearing us at all.
Yeah, I'm already texting her now. I'm doing that now. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm seeing a couple of questions coming in. I'll be taking them shortly. But if you're just joining in, we're having a very insightful conversation with our panelists on the theme of this webinar, which is a technological advancement and betting. We're focusing on accessing the socioeconomic effects, empowering or endangering people living in low and middle income countries. So if you have a question for the panelists, please feel free to drop your questions and we'll take them one at a time. So back to you, Mr. Anointing. I will do a follow-up and go around the whole of the panelists. I will get back to you, Mr. Emeka and Mr. Sheldrick as well. Mr. Anointing, from your perspective of a project management, okay, what are the key challenges and possibly the opportunities in regulating betting industry to ensure fair play and consumer protection? Because like you rightly said, most of these betting companies that, keep setting up in different countries, a lot of them are not even regulated at all. And a lot of individuals, they've one way or the other been scammed. Some have, in fact, they really leverage that platform or that betting betting apps doing some things that have messed with their mental health and are also not legal at all. So what do you think, or how are the opportunities in regulating this betting industry to ensure like fair play and consumer protection as well?
Okay, so like I said, it boils down to where the kind of laws we have, because I mean, like, what is obtainable here in Nigeria is not basically not obtainable in a different country because of the differing laws and whatnot. So if you don't have regulatory or legislation that actually controls or or guides these activities, then you have, like I said, the Wild West, because everybody can now do whatever they want. So if there's a perception of fair play, because everything is all about perspective. So many people see this betting thing as, oh, it's a bad habit, it's not something you should do. Maybe because of the opportunities or the experiences they've seen, or the people they've dealt with that have been addicted to it, or people that have lost their livelihoods due to it, and stuff like that. So that informs their own perspective. But then if they see that, okay, there's a net positive for betting or for gambling at large, then gives it doesn't give betting that bad reputation. So if there's a situation where, okay, fine, this company declared social profits for this year, and they're dedicated percentage to maybe social responsibility, corporate social responsibility or whatnot. Maybe they're setting up public infrastructure or whatnot. So that gives them a perception of fair play. So as much as people are losing money to these companies, they're actually getting back from the society, like I said. So if there's any of course there has to be ethical consideration as well, because I mean, like, you have to know, like I said, these companies set up algorithms that study consumer behavior, so they know people that are prone to losing more money, and they try to channel that advertising to these people and try to make the most out of them. So it boils down to how controlled the entire space is. That will now inform whether or not we can have anything positive coming out from this.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right, thank you for that insight. Hello, Mr. Minat. Are you there now? Hi.
Yes, I'm.
Good morning. Welcome. We've been trying to get through. Okay, quickly, with your experience in the betting industry, what trends have you re-observed regarding the impact of technological advancement in our user behavior?
Okay. With my experience, the betting industry has undergone significant transformations due to technology advancements. And example, like most of those, like the people who normally go to a betting shop to stake there, they now use online, they now bet online. Yes, instead of them to be going to betting shops, all they need to do now is just to get their phone or their laptop to bet online, and it saves their money. It makes them to gamble responsibly. Because for them to go to betting shops, they need to they stake higher than staking online. If they want to stake online, and the thing they need to do is just to transfer some money to their account, then take. Unlike going to a betting shop, playing more than what they budget for. So it's better they play online than going to a betting shop. Yes, that's what.
So going to a betting shop, do you have a reason why, with your experience for these people that come around that you often see? Could it be from a place of insecurity? Could it be from a place of greed, or because I think some of these betting stores or shops that we see around, I've seen that a lot of times people who are very much addicted to that space, like they go there and they're like, betting or putting one gambling game or the other, and then if something doesn't click right or doesn't go well, they end up fighting or they end up causing some chaos and all of that. Could that be also part of the reason?
Yes, because
you're smiling like you've experienced one. Have they fought before in your practice?
Yes, I've experienced it. Most of them, especially when they are losing, as in anything to them, they'll be very angry. They might even fight you. They will even call you names because they are losing. So for me, it's better they should just bet online and just stay at home, be watching the game online by themselves. It's better than coming to bed. Because some of them even fight us. I've worked with a betting company and I've experienced those things.
A whole lot. Yes. Okay, quickly, right? Do you think, because sometimes I really do not want to justify this whole betting or gaming system, as the reason why people should be involved in an illegal act. Okay. Do you think that the betting system, from your perspective, the betting industry rather, they create this job opportunities for unemployed people, for people that, a lot of times people that are even involved in this are graduates, because they more or less do not have the opportunity to be working somewhere in white collar jobs and all of that. So they more or less invest so much of their time, resources, and the little or more that they have in this betting style and gaming and all of that. So do you think that the industry really create opportunities and serve as a means of income for youths and those involved? And I also want to be questioning this money as well, because this income that comes in, how sustainable are the income sources for individuals over time?
It creates employment and serves as means of income for the people involved. But let me just say, the income is not that sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's not that sustainable, because like most people now working in that betting industry, unlike me when I was working there was a lady who normally, like, you have gotten employment just for you to focus, not to be gambling. But most of those people working in gambling companies, not easy for us, because it's like it's tempting, because you see people winning money, making money, you're like, is this how they make money here? But oh my God, it's not easy though, but it's
But
about
what stops you from getting involved as someone who works in that space?
because I know what I'm looking for. I know what I want. I just wanted to earn some money and sponsor myself in my school. That's why I was there. So Adibi, I got involved. Maybe I would have graduated by now. I would have still been looking for money, because most people involved, especially my co-workers there, they normally at the end of the month, they balance my boss, because they will use all the capital that my boss gave them to trade. Here you get, they will use everything to stake. At the end of the day, they will not be the one to balance the company with their salary. Yes. So it serves an employment, and also if the employee, the employers are using their license, they are doing it with their license, because it's really tempting. Seriously, it's tempting.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, from place of experience, you are you can give with first-hand insight on that. Thank you so much, Jamila. So we'll get back to you. Mr. Shadrach, are you there?
Yes, please. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. We lost you for a moment. Thank you.
My apologies for that. Sorry,
Yeah,
my apologies.
it's fine. It's fine.
I've been struggling with network lately. Sorry, please. My apologies.
It's okay. Now, from your experience, right, in the banking sector, do you think what financial considerations should individuals really keep in mind when engaging in betting activities to avoid financial pitfalls? Because a lot of young people, as much as they put in little, and the profit or the income coming forth is really big, and for people that lack discipline when it comes to spending, or the incomes that they get, they'll more or less spend such money, and they never think of, okay, let me invest in something that would keep my stream of income coming, and I will keep having investment in returns. People get cash out a huge amount of money, and they can't even account to it at all. So what are those considerations when it comes to their finances that they should actually start working on?
Actually, based on my level of experience in the banking sector, I do tell people, number one thing you need to avoid is avoid borrowing money. It's going to put you in troubles. Number one is avoid borrowing money. Abstain or give up from borrowing money from friends, families, or even people. So people even get to the point of borrowing money from all these credit sources, all these credits, loan apps, and all that. And at the end of the day, they'll start running up and down. And like Jamila had said, it may be very hard to use gambling to sustain a home. Why not get something doing apart from betting, gambling, and all that? Because I will not deceive you. I will not deceive you. I know few, a very few number of people that have, found themselves in this kind of situation, and at the end they will start running. I even know of a friend of mine that actually, um, traveled because of this to where you can never find him. So he just for like 6 months, it was nowhere to be found because of this. It was borrowing money. It's more like this crypto also. Crypto, I do tell people, don't borrow money for crypto, and also betting and some other platforms like that. Don't borrow money. So part of your savings, you could it's very much advisable to use part of your savings for all these, betting or retain. So that's just my point of view concerning that.
Thank you so much. That's a brilliant one. I think it also it serves as an insight or an advice for everyone too as well, because so some of us are involved in one investment plan or the other. So the take home in that part is, invest in the right things and make sure your investment is something that you can see returns in it. Let me also remind everyone on this webinar that you can ask questions by typing and dropping. We'll take the questions one at a time, and our panelists will help us with that as well. Still on you, Mr. Shadrach. And I want to talk about people that really invest in playing the role of motivational speakers, right? What role do you think that these people can play in addressing issues related to gambling, addiction, and also promoting healthy lifestyle choices among young people? What should they, is it enough though? Because I think that these people serve as motivational speakers. People go on their social media and see one influencer or one of their feed and celebrities putting out, an ad about a particular betting company and how they should invest in it and all of that. So there's too much information. So sometimes people are just would I also say that they're confused. They don't even know which of the information or advice they should take. For more or less, for motivational speakers, what role should they be playing? Perhaps what should they be speaking and emphasizing on to educate and sensitize people on the right betting platforms to go on?
Okay. What I would say is that people with, though I actually forgot to say this, people with a gambling addiction can't control their urge to gamble, even if they are losing a lot of money, a lot of expenses and all that. They are still willing to take the risk. They are still willing to take this risk. It is two-way thing. You just have to accept it, though we have some people that are already addicted to it. They're already addicted to it. Number one thing you need to do to get out of this addiction is to talk to your support person, person who initiated you into the gambling, betting, and all that. That's number one. Number two, control your cash. It is very, very important. And very quickly to this, to address the issues of gambling addiction, family interventions can actually help to promote that, to recover from lapses and all that, debt and all that. So family members can actually encourage minimizing the effect of problem gambling on the family. Just imagine a family who was given an amount of money to support the family, and imagine them using it on gambling. So family members may feel betrayed and upset, and even more exasperate and all that, trust issues and all that. So to promote healthy lifestyle among the youth and all that, number one thing I will also talk about is physical activity. To at least just have 10 minutes at a time, to rest and all that, just to rest yourself. We know that one minute, like 150 minutes each week sounds like a lot of time to people, but it's not, actually not. That's equivalent to 2 hours, 30 minutes. So about the same time you might spend watching a movie. Why not take at least 10 minutes out of the time to to rest? And also, healthy nutrition, it's very, very paramount and mentors. So the fourth one I will talk about is getting adequate sleep, rest enough, and control your stress. So that's what I have to say on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That's really insightful there. Ms. Amy Kamba, are you there? Hello, Ms. Aimika. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for being there. Quickly, right? I think Mr. Shedrack had touched a little bit on it, but I want to hear your insight on it again. When it comes to documented links between excessive gambling behaviors and mental health issues, such as depression and anxiety, how can psychology inform interventions to support individuals struggling with gambling addiction?
All right, thank you very much. Addiction is a psychological issue. It's a very serious psychological issue. It's a mental health issue. Now, when we talk of addiction, the term we use in psychology is called compulsive gambling. Addiction in betting is called compulsive gambling, and it is not responsible gambling. There is responsible gambling. There is what we call compulsive gambling. And compulsive gambling comes with a lot of effects linked to substance abuse, substance misuse, personality disorder, depression, anxiety. And also it brings obsessive compulsive disorder, call it OCD, attention deficits. These are some of the implications, mental health, issues that is related to compulsive gambling. Now, what is the way out? How can you come out of it? Before we look at the way out, gambling leads to addiction. Yeah, gambling leads to addiction. And what is addiction? Why it leads to addiction is that it stimulates the brain reward system, just like drug. As drug and alcohol stimulates, so also gambling does. So it is a very serious matter. Now, looking at the intervention process, there are three specific intervention process that will be of help psychologically. They are categorized into three. Number one, we have the therapeutic method. Number two, we have the behavioral method, and number three, we have the self-help group method. That would be of very, very good help. So when we talk of therapeutic method, that's a therapy. So under it, we have behavioral therapy, and we have cognitive behavioral therapy. So when we're looking at to analyze it, after mentioning it, I'm going to explain how it works. Now, for behavioral therapy, exposure, how to help someone, a victim of compulsive gambling or addicted to gambling. Number one, under using the therapeutic method. Number one, exposure to behavior you want to unlearn and teach you the skill to reduce the urge for gambling. Now you expose such person to behavior you want to unlearn. You understand? For instance, you take the person out. Gambling has now become an habit. You distract the person from that. take the person out, for instance, for workout, for gymming, for something different. You know, that very time the person goes, when the person is being distracted from that, that's why you need a help. Yes, somebody needs help. It's called behavioral therapy. The person need a help. You expose the person, begin to remember addiction is not automatic. It's something gradually. You begin to take yourself out of it. Is a systematic process. It takes time for the person to unlearn such negative behavioral tendencies. Number two, still under therapeutic method, we have cognitive behavioral therapy. This is to identify unhealthy belief and replace it with healthy ones. That belief system that I win, I will always win. That's the addiction. When you understand the fact that this betting is a business, there are people who are in charge of it, just like Mr. Anointing stated. There's a technological algorithms that are being manipulated by the agencies to ensure they study the bettors, the gamblers, and they know those who they are problems. So as they study, they ensure that the chances of winning are slim, because the more if everybody wins, they are run out of business. So when you have this understanding that this is a game of luck, your chances of winning is minimal. It has mental aspect. That betting should either be for fun or entertainment. It should not be a source of livelihood. It's a mental perception change. When your mental perception changes, you understand the reality that you're operating you're progressing in error, in a negative understanding of the entire process. So these are ways it will really help to salvage those who have. And another one is, secondly, is called medication. I beg your pardon. The first one is therapeutic. The second is medication, of course, yeah. Because the compulsive gambling might degenerate to the extent when you need antidepressants, mood stabilizing drugs. Obviously, you need a clinical psychologist to cope with that situation. Then you need a clinical attention. Yes. Well, in this situation, drugs are prescribed to stabilize the mood and all that. So sometimes they have narcotic antagonistic drugs. So there's consultant clinical psychologist will help in that. And finally, we have the self-group method. This self-group method is talking to people who have gambling problems, and have recovered. So you let them know this person has an issue with this and is able to come out of it. So most times they are anonymous. Meet them one-on-one. Sometimes it could be online. Meet them, they counsel you, they talk to you, they tell you the challenges, the implications of what compulsive, addictive gambling have done to their mental health, financial life, their socioeconomic well-being, and how they have recovered. These are ways we can really help. These are intervention. So we have several other intervention processes. But basically, I'll stop with these three. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was really, really so insightful. I mean, I have learned, and emphasis on gaming should be for entertainment and not mainly for the basis for someone's source of livelihood, because I can't imagine that somebody would wake up and you're heading on to a gaming center or a betting or gambling center to take that as a this is what I do for a living, or as a chore, as a full-time job. It doesn't really make any sense to me. But thank you for emphasizing on that. Is Mr. Are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Thank you for being.
I think you're on mute.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So we have a question from Elizabeth. She said she's directing this question to you, and she says, Can you provide examples of stronger regulatory frameworks to allow for safer gambling and betting environment?
Yeah, so I think I'll use like a 5-point approach for these examples. So I think it should be split into I did a bit of scribbling while I saw our question. So I would say the first one should be limited ads, just as Anointing and Mr. Meka have also rightly said, in terms of using algorithms. So these people that are vulnerable to betting, the people that are really addicted. So I think more some BI or some analytical research needs to be done to be able to identify these people and then make sure that limited ads are being shown to these people. There should be a regulation that limits them from seeing these betting platforms. So I think that would be the first way. The other way should be strict licensing for the betting companies itself. So we need to make sure that the gambling companies meet the are being put into tough rules and also checks and check it. So background checks as well as regulatory checks yearly or while they're trying to set up the company, because I know there are a lot of betting companies, even registered, non-registered people are, especially in low and middle income countries, it's easy to just set up a company and then start to offer these services. So I think the government needs to do more to crack down on these betting companies to make sure that they're to restrict the illegal companies and then keep a strong check on the legal companies and make sure that they're doing what they're meant to do as well. Make sure that there are policies in place to restrict and prevent harmful betting. Another way should be education. So basically offering education to people that are new to betting, because you cannot really stop what people want to do. So people that are just starting to bet, as well as people in universities, tackling the vulnerable students, as well as just the youth as well. Because I think as it was, I think Emeka that said that 6 million, no, 70% of Nigerian youths are into betting. So we need to target this audience and make sure that they're being educated and being told about the side effects of betting, as well as also the positive side of betting. You can bet for fun, but make sure you're not betting as a means for financial freedom. Another way should be support services to people that are already addicted. As Emeka also said, we need to make people aware of the signs, as well as offer them services to prevent them from betting more or being addicted to people that are already addicted. Offer them services to bring them out of this addiction, more of therapy, withdrawal services, as well as making them, offering all these people that are depressed with a service to reduce this depression. So basically offering them support to come out of the addiction. And I'll say lastly, in low and middle income countries, we need to do a lot of research. So research to help us identify what's the trigger points for people getting addicted. We all know, I think we all know from what we've already discussed today, mostly it's for financial freedom, as well as peer pressure. So we need to make it more, we need to do more research onto more things that could make people be pushed into betting and help the youths. So it was Anointing that said, so the money made from these betting companies needs to be put back into the society to help people stay away from it. So we need to do more. We need to develop the economy to offer more opportunities for the youths. So get them distracted from betting, where offer them a light where they can say, okay, this is what financial freedom looks like, rather than me trying to bet what I have no control over. So show them what you can control. Show them, okay, you can learn these skills if you want financial freedom, rather than using 100,000 to place a bet for 50 million. So I think these are the things that need to be put in place. So as I've said, just to recap on the 5 points, so limited advertisements, strict licenses, education, support services, as well as research. I think those are the 5 points we need to dwell into.
All right, thank you so much for that. Elizabeth, I hope you have been able to, I hope Mr. Ayo has been able to answer your question, because it's well articulated. Thank you so much. And I love your emphasis on this betting industries using the income or the money they've gotten from this betting activities to promoting some societal, probably personal trainings for people that are also interested and keen in gaming and betting system. I think it would help them be more aware of what they are involving or getting engaged in. So thank you for Okay, so let me wrap up with asking your own part, okay, Mr. Ayo, are you still there? I want to ask you, because for someone like you who is very passionate about passionate in gaming, can you discuss some impactful development initiatives that related to gaming and sport that you have been involved in over the years?
Sorry, come again.
Your passion for gaming, right? You're such a passionate gamer. I'm asking you to discuss some impactful development initiatives that you relating to gaming and sporting that you've been involved in over the year.
Yeah, so my answer is going to kind of contradict what I've been saying today. So when I was in uni, we did a lot of campaigns for games and all of that, but it was more of a social activity. So like I've said, it's two ways to it, and it's a very thin line. Betting for fun and betting for financial freedom is where you need to draw that line. But we've done a lot of like social campaigns, especially while I was in uni, because I was the social director when I was in my third year in uni. So we did like a gaming activity where people come together, play FIFA for fun. We did every entry fee was 300 naira. Winner gets, I can't remember, probably like 50,000 naira at the time. But this was for fun. So we made sure that we made the participants aware that we're doing it for fun. It's more of a social activity rather than for financial freedom. So putting these regulations in place made sure that no one was borrowing money or stealing money to take part in these games. And we also made it possible for people that had no money to take part in these games, but you know you're not going to win any fee. So these activities made everyone happy rather than making people go broke. So I'll say, yeah, that was one social activity that was I've been involved in.
Okay, we've got a couple of questions. I'm going to take them just right after Mr. Shadrach shares his view on this question. I'm also throwing him. Mr. Shadrach, are you there?
Yes, please.
Okay, so quickly, right? I think there are a lot of, in this part of the world, Nigeria precisely, we tend to push our focus or activities based on spirituality a whole lot of times. Okay, someone is telling you that he's using his last goal to tell you, say, God will do it for me and God will come through for me and all of those things. I mean, yes, God usually comes through, right? How can the spiritual principles really, literally, the principles and the values really guide individuals in making informed decisions? Because the same way they will put their faith and trust in God is the same way they will still blame God for both the success, both the cashing out, and both the ones that they did not cash out on, both the gambling, both the betting, and all of that. So yeah, in taking informed decisions, okay, how the participants in betting and managing potential risks associated with this gambling rather.
Thank you very much. Spiritually, it is not really advisable. Reason being that you could end up, losing your life to depression and suicide. So it is, and if we could look at it critically from point of view, we would see that there are some churches with different doctrines. I mean doctrines. So they really do not want to be hearing like, okay, I'm bringing money of gambling to church as a tithe and all that. So it depends on their doctrines. And there are some churches that won't even frown at it. As long as you are making profit, just bring your tithe. So that I won't really talk against gambling as much as you are making profit, and we actually have different We attend different churches, of course, and with different doctrines. So preventing gambling from being a source of crime or disorder, being associated with crime and disorder, or being used to support crime, ensure gambling is conducted in a fair and open way or manner. So that is my advice. Protecting children and other vulnerable people from being harmed and, probably exploited by gambling. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Also, Mr. Cedric, what are the strategies and resources you think that are available, most especially for youth, to develop their resilience and to also navigate societal pressures? Because a lot of times people are maybe influenced by, the participation in gambling activities, their friends, their peers, even their fellow colleagues and, church members in terms of spirituality as well. So what do you think are the strategies for these people, for young people especially?
Sorry, please come again with the question, please.
I'm asking for strategies and resources that are available for youth to develop resilience, okay, and navigating societal pressure. Yeah.
Okay. So in this case, we actually have the positive and the negative effect of gambling on one's personal or social life. So of course, we know that positive aspect helps to strengthen neural circuits, giving the brain a real workouts. You got to be calculative in everything you do. And the negative effect, gambling can actually affect your self-esteem if proper care is not taken. It can actually affect your relationships and physical and mental health. It can as well affect your work performances and social life. It can harm not only the person who gambles, but also the entire family, entire friends, workplaces and communities. So that's just basically like Mr. Ayo rightly said, or Mr. Anointing rightly said, and I also said it to avoid borrowing money, to avoid a story that that touch. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Jamilat, I would get to you shortly, but is Mr. Anointing still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you have a question from Tobechiku, or rather Tobechi. Tobechi's question is saying that, please, can you describe your betting strategy and how do you decide which games to bet on?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I'm an authority on betting, though, but I just feel like I think it boils down to what I said earlier about knowing what to bet on. Like, you should have like enough information. So I've been watching football for a very long time. So I know, for example, now in Champions League, once you reach the knockout stage, the first leg of each knockout stage, they're going to score at least 3 goals. So that one is a given. It has happened almost every season. So if you enter the round of 16 or quarterfinals or even maybe semi-final, I think they become more conservative in semi-finals because everybody wants to go to final. But you see that quarterfinal and round of 16, the first leg of almost every game, they score at least 3 goals. So if you have that idea over time, you know that whatever you bet for that particular period works. And then you also see, like I said, you can't bet against Man City when they're on the right. For the past 4 seasons now, the moment they start winning, I think it was 3 seasons ago, they won 12 straight games in a row. The season they won the league by a point. I think they didn't lose any of their last 18 games or something like that. So you can't have that kind of knowledge and then bet against Man City. So your strategy has to come from the information you have, and the only way you can have that information is by being knowledgeable about what the sport is. I can't go and bet on what they call it, basketball, for example, because I don't watch basketball. I don't know. I might know LeBron James or Steph Curry or whatnot, but I don't know if their team is good enough to win a particular game. So I'll be losing money if I'm thinking I can go to a basketball site or bet for a particular game. So I think it boils down to, and I think this question was linked to Mr. Emeka earlier, where he asked about if there's any analytical form, there's anything that has to do with analytics when it comes to deciding what to bet on or doing it or carrying out the bet. And to an extent it does, because you have to strategize too, because I mean, like, there are situations where you have 8 or 10 games in a particular slip, but then you've won 9 and then one of them cuts it. So the idea also is deciding which games are too tempting to bet on and which ones are good to leave out. So most people that win bets actually play just 1 game or 2 games, and they put a lot of money into it, and they know that, okay, these ones are sure. But in a situation where someone has over 20 something games in a particular slip, yeah, really, in rare occasions, they win, but then the risk is higher. So your risk appetite has to come into play as well. If you have a very low risk appetite, avoid betting. If you know you are going to have high blood pressure over something, if you know you are prone to high blood pressure, avoid betting. Like MMM was a very big example now, because it's basically bet in a way, because people put in their savings, they're like, they're going to get social returns. And initially, yeah, people were getting, but when things went bust, most people lost their livelihoods. Other people went to depression and whatnot. So the risks are there, but risk appetite now informs, in addition to your analysis, the risk appetite also informs how and when to bet. So I think that's how I will go about it. But like I said, Champions League knockout stage, this is free information. Champions League knockout stage, the first game of every knockout stage, there are going to be at least 3 goals in the match. So that's how I will strategize or come around.
Okay. That's fair enough for the game lovers. I mean, that's their cue to get that at the back of their thumb. But anyways, thank you so much, Anointing, for that. Jamilat, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so quickly, you've been able to point out the negative side of people that are involved in betting. Okay, you've been able to say that with experience, you've seen a lot of people get involved in these things and how they fight, and how they cause a lot of chaos in your community. On the other side of the positive angle, has the impact of betting on individuals and communities been primarily on the negative side or the positive side? And what are some of the positive and bad consequences that you have seen over time?
Okay. What I've seen in this, with my perspective from what I've experienced, the negative side is more harmful. Although the positive side is that you make money, you have a financial, like for that period of time, you will not have problem with money and others. But the negative aspect is that it causes damage to somebody, especially those, it even brings someone down, like people who are addicted to gambling. When they stake with a higher amount, there are some who even use their business money to stake. Some are there who use their savings to stake. At the end of the day, maybe the game didn't go well, and they will now die. That is how depression will now start in some of them. Some of them will be angry, and it may even cause it may even cause a little problem for some family member, like maybe borrowing money from a family member to gambling, and then the person that I'm going to pay back. And at the end of the day, the game did not go as planned. Then it might cause a little problem for them, because we will not be able to pay back. And for the gamblers who normally don't gamble responsibly, that's why we always advise for people to gamble responsibly, because betting can lead to a financial problem and a mental health issue. They will be facing, for that period of time, they will not be okay with themselves. They cannot even get themselves. they will not like, me that used to do this, I cannot even do it again, I cannot even fit. But even when they bounce back, they will still go back to the betting. So the negative part is more, it causes more damages, and also it causes bankruptcy. Yes, because how can you just work hard for your money after working very hard for it? At the end of the day, you went to stake with it, and the money goes, it didn't come back as expected. So because betting is like a gambling. Gambling is like it's all like someone who is addicted to hard drugs. So if you are addicted to gambling, it will be very difficult for you to stop it. It's very difficult. Even if you have not eaten a day, you don't mind using that money that you are supposed to eat with to go and gamble. Yes. So even if you are not winning, you will go. So the negative parts of gambling is more than the positive parts. So for my own conclusion, is better than a gambler. It's better not to even gamble at all. Yes, it's better not to gamble at all. And all those underage children that are starting it, we have to stop them. They should not even involve themselves in it, because once they involve themselves in it, they might end up stealing their parents' money to gamble. Yes. So that is what all I have to say about the negative and the positive aspects of it. Thank you. Hello. Oh my God.
Joseph.
Hello, yeah,
Hello.
we can hear you. Jojo, can you hear me? Sorry, we can't hear you, Jojo. Can you hear us? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, Jamilat, but we can't hear Jojo. Jojo, can you hear us?
Wow.
All right. So thank you so much for that insightful answer to that question, Jamilat.
Can you hear me now?
So moving on to, okay, yeah, we can hear you now.
I was hearing
Yeah, we can
everyone
hear you.
clearly. I don't know that glitch. Yeah, so but can everyone hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I was going to ask because Jamilat has been saying, a lot of she's I feel like right now she's advocating for no in gambling. It's not really advisable for people to really be going into it full time. So I was saying I do not know if I should throw this question to Anointing or how, perhaps Ayo or Mr. Shadrach. Are there other ways that people boycott to predict for betting games? Okay, because I do not know for people that do visual games and people that are within like betting shops. Are there been any experience or times where someone who is in charge of the betting shop or a center can easily give them a hint for predictions? I mean, if they have the access to really finding out, for instance, with a game, who may win, do they have like access to people that possibly may give them these predictions and it can be correct? I'm not so much of the gamer, but with everything she said, I don't know. I'm forced to ask those questions. Okay, so anyone could actually answer that.
So, Jojo, what you're describing there is insider trading or maybe
Yeah.
fixed matches.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are fixed matches, especially, but it's some very rare occasion. I think the betting industry, they are trying as much as possible to restrict it. Because I mean, like, that's just insider trading, basically. Just cheating everybody. But there are instances like that, and there are some times where that's why you see people that do business of, okay, you pay a certain amount and they give you, they call it short odds. Most times it's just people that have analyzed games and feel, okay, this is the best possible outcome. Other times it's actually a fixed match. It's a very high, and then you can make money when you play all those games. So, but then there are also AI has come to change everything now, because people are using AI now to predict and even bet and win a lot of money. I was watching something the other day.
Really?
People are analyzing, they're analyzing games. So based on, because everything is big data now, based on trend analysis and based on the possible outcome, the way you can use algorithms to predict who will win a league from the beginning, based on the number of the squad members or their potential and their qualities and whatnot. You have a situation where a supercomputer can predict who is going to finish first, second, third, fourth. Most times it's not correct, but in some cases they are quite accurate. That same kind of technology can be used to predict the outcome of a particular match. So if people have access to that before the match, it gives them an advantage to an extent. But it's not guaranteed because everything is still, I mean, like there's always force majeure that can happen. The game can be cancelled. Something can happen. There can be a medical emergency that the algorithm will account for, something like that. So it's not always accurate, but most times people use that as an advantage, to get. So AI is basically something that people have tried to operate with their predictions now.
Well, I'm really just finding up about that. There's so much that AI can do, and this is all because of technology. Interestingly, let me finally ask Mr. Emeka, are you there? I want to throw my final question to you because we're supposed to end this webinar at 12, so I could give room for people that still have questions to ask. But Mr. Emeka, are you there?
Yeah, I'm with you, ma'am.
Okay. So do you think that there's a thin line between crypto and forex trading and betting in terms of like the behavioral patterns and its addiction? You know that this is actually likely to cause like damages in terms of like people's mental health.
Thank you very much. Not just a thin line, there's a big difference between, beg your pardon, forex and crypto. In crypto, countries. In fact, you are called a crypto trader. Paired currencies of various countries to make gain in the market. You go for course. Some people study, learned it. People are making money from it. So attach to this, both crypto and crypto is a business. So people take it as a full-time business like this. It's not a game of chance. Also, that does not think it's not a game of luck per se. You're very well, you are knowledgeable on the intricacies of cashing out is there big time. They are popular. Go on social media, you see they handle as a train. And he has trained a lot of people, both close and open. We cannot categorize crypto trading as gambling. Gambling or lose is totally dependent on you. You can make analysis, but it's totally dependent on chances. Totally different. So I'm trying to differentiate between this. That there's a difference between cryptocurrency, forex, and betting. Betting is gambling. Bettors are gambling. It's a game of chance. So these are factors we must understand. And finally, in forex, you place a trade, And there's a strong reason you have a due analysis going by several factors, candlestick and what have you, before you place your trade. There are indicators you use to analyze and place those trades. But gambling, you totally depend on the game, although there's an increase in chances coming, chances. So, however, all of them have risks. Yeah, where the similarities comes is they all have risk. They all have risk and uncertainty. However, with proper education, practice, and risk management, forex trading can offer more controlled can be more controlled. We can control forex trading, can be controlled. Cryptocurrency too. I have friends who are into crypto, I have friends who are into forex. So I can't say they are gambling. And I hopefully have people who I know who are into sport betting. I can tell you the case is different. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I thought you were going to say that you can't say more or you can't say less because you have backups in terms of people on the panelists like Anointing and Ayo to back you up with this point. Well, anyways, well said, Mr. Emeka. Before I hand over to Olamide, Mr. Shadrach, I just want to drop this question for you as my final question on this webinar before Olamide takes over. As a multifaceted individual, Mr. Shadrach, with a mission to inspire youth, I see how you put in so much work in trying to inspire people, trying to pass the right information and motivate young people as well. What message do you like to convey to young individual about balancing risk-taking, risk-taking behaviors and with their personal development? And
okay, thank you very much. Risk-taking is more like an essential part of personal growth and development. While it can be so much intimidating, taking risk can lead to increased in confidence, in new experiences, learning new opportunities and personal growth. However, it's important to balance risk with safety and make informed decisions. Well, it's essential to take risk, yes. And it's also important to balance risk and reward, the two things. So potential risk should be assessed honestly and realistically, and steps should be taken to manage possible negative outcomes. Just remember that not all risk will lead to success, but each risk can be an opportunity to learn and grow. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Shadrach. That was a lovely insight. I hope everyone is enjoying the questions that they are being asked. And to continue from where Jojo stopped, I would like to throw a question now at Ayo. Ayo, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ayo. So, Ayo, I have a question for you, yeah? As a business analyst, what potential opportunities do you see for leveraging technology within the betting industry to enhance social outcomes? And what are some of the throwbacks that are associated with this? What are some of the risks that you feel that leveraging technology within the betting industry could have on the socio-economic impact, please?
Yeah, so It's a two-way question. So it's basically talking about, I think you're basically asking me about the good and the bad of betting. So as everyone has rightly said today, so I think when it's for fun, it's good. When you're doing it for fun, when you place a bet for fun, even if you lose, you don't care about the money you've put in because it was just maybe an extra change you put in. Or if you then win, good, that's a win-win for you. You've won your money, your team has won the game. You're happy, that's it. But then the negative side of things is where you lose or you borrow money to then place a bet. So that's when depression kicks in and all of that. But now going back to your question on leveraging technology. So I think as everyone has rightly said as well, especially I think it was Anointing that spoke about having technology algorithms being put in place, restricting people that are addicted to betting. So you can put in like a line which basically puts in like a threshold, preventing people from placing over a certain amount of bets. So I think a central system needs to be put in place where you restrict people from maybe placing over 10 bets a day or taking a break from betting. And there should be like prompts there for people to, I know most financial services have this now where it makes you, so the, even, sorry, just to bring in BI, so that's behavioral insight. It's basically, the human mind has two ways to it. So it's the first mind when, so like if I say 2 plus 2, you know it's 4. And then if I say 4 times 568, it triggers your inner mind to then process this. So we need to have like a system in place where it makes people aware of their decisions. It makes them aware that, oh, if you're doing this, you're doing it at your risk. Betting is not an investment. Betting is for fun. So it makes people remember why they are betting rather than, oh, let me just place a bet, rather than that being submissive to that urge or that addiction and then going in there. So I think there's a lot of potential opportunities where technology can be used to make these things happen. Because I don't think it's there, especially in Nigeria at the moment, because I think it's like an open stream. There's no bottleneck that restricts people from placing as many bets as they want. So I think these technology needs to be, like I said earlier, about the frameworks. So I think more research needs to be done. We need to identify the variables and things we can progress on to restrict people from placing bets and all of that, where it's an addiction, or we need to look for the signs that, so we need to look for the technological signs that are equals to the addiction. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. All right. Thank you very, very much for that insightful answer, Ayo. Moving over to Shadrach. Are you there with us? Hello, Shadrach, are you there with us?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, lovely. So Shadrach, as a beacon of inspiration to the youth, because usually I do see some of your posts where you put up a lot of inspirational write-ups, and you engage people with some engaging inspirational quotes and all of that. It's really lovely. I would like to ask that looking towards the future, I would like to ask, looking towards the future, how do you see the religious perspective on gambling evolving in the face of changing social landscape?
Oh, thank you very much. I think I've actually spoken on that, probably talked on that question. But like I said, we have different churches with their different doctrines. And spiritually, it is, for me, it is not really advisable to make gambling as the main source of income. Just imagine you putting like 1 million naira into betting, and at the end of everything, you could not achieve your profit. You know, the kind of damages that will cause to you yourself, not only to you alone, but to the families, even to your generation and all that. Look at the trauma you would have to experience or go through. So it is really not advisable to borrow money. Avoid, by all means, avoid borrowing money. If you're a Christian or Muslim, just believe that only God can make things work. And betting, gambling is more like 50-50. I want us to understand something, that as much as people are losing, we still have high number of people that are gaining or winning, because they've been into it. You know, they are highly experienced, and they know how to calculate so very much. Like, in short, they are calculative when it comes to betting. Because even in these games of a thing, you will see people, even this football match of a thing, you will see people, coming up with different results, like 2-1, 2-2, and all that. And of which it will definitely come true. So it's more like that, honestly. So we should just prevent gambling from being a source of crime or disorder, like I said earlier, being associated with crime and disorder problems, or being used to support crime. So ensure gambling is conducted in a very fair and open manner or way, protecting children, your families, and other vulnerable people from being harmed or exploited by gambling. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that lovely insights, Shadrach.
You're welcome, sir.
Yes, thank you very, very much. So now, with 3 minutes left that we have on the program, because we always take the time here, we'd love to use these 3 minutes to and see if any of the audience would be dropping any questions, or if we have not answered any questions from the chat bot. Okay, it looks like we have actually answered all of the questions. So amongst the panelists here, do any of you have like any question you might want to ask, or any clarification, any part where that it wasn't clarified that you would love to clarify on or talk more on? I'll just leave the room open for that now.
I think I would just like to appreciate the fellow panelists, because I've actually learned a lot, especially from Anointing, also Mr. Emeka and Shadrach as well. So I've learned a lot about the positive side as well as the negative sides of betting. So it's been a pleasure to listen to your opinions, and it's been really good meeting you guys as a person as well.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much, Ayo Olubode, for that. Any other remarks or comments from any of the panelists?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Ayo just said too. Getting different perspective as well. Even though from just way that most that betting is actually a bad thing. Well, I want us to look at it from a slightly different angle, because I mean, like, yes, if you're addicted to it, obviously advised that you don't engage something that's addictive and whatnot. So basically managing your own personal, or having your own personal restraints to knowing that, okay, this thing is bad. But look at it from this point of view where, okay, you're in a social gathering and it's an icebreaker. So I know people that can like that strike up discussions around, okay, what they bet, and you don't necessarily have to just bet in a certain way. So now technology has made it look, or they've evolved the betting to have one particular game can have over 250 markets. And what are markets? So those are different outcomes. So you can say, okay, there are going to be at least 3 corners in this particular match. And the odds might be little, but if you put a lot of money into it, you've made your profit, whatever that is. But like I said, always bet with what you can spare, because I mean, like, it's a slippery slope. So you can start with, oh, just 1K. Let me just put it. That's 1K I'll use to buy beer somewhere. Let me just keep it, and maybe it might return maybe 5,000 or something. The moment you win that 5,000, you'll be happy and be like, okay, since I'm getting money, I didn't like 1,000 for that 1K, I would have made 25,000. Just before you know it, you're betting 100K, before you know you're betting 200K. So the idea is to understand do a risk analysis, understand your risk appetite, and work religiously to manage it. Because yes, it can be very, very, I think there's this euphoria that comes with winning bets. I've experienced it personally, but then like I try to remind myself that this can actually be a very, very bad habit if you get addicted to it. So that's basically what I want to add. So as much as we are seeing this as an opportunity to sensitize people that betting is not necessarily a good way of sustaining yourself, or it's not a good form of sustenance. It can also be like what I said, for fun. You can just bet and maybe enjoy yourself. Maybe but it puts in a weird position. Like a Man U fan can bet that Man City will win Man U, and he's watching that same match and he's happy that his team is losing. So something like that. It's just weird. It's just a weird phenomenon that applies to almost everything too. So that's an angle to look at it from too.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. I totally agree with your what you've just said, and just to also just put it out there, it's totally based on my view. So you don't need to take my view as financial advice, just to anyone that might be listening. So if you do it for fun, it's totally fine. Just for myself, I just like things that I can control. So that's why I play FPL. I don't know if you do that as well, Mr. Anointing. So I do play FPL where there's no. So we have a group where everyone has put in a certain amount of money, but we just do it for fun. So it's not as if I don't do any of it, but it's just I just do it for fun, like I've said earlier.
Oh yeah. Okay. No.
All right. So because of time, I'm just going to be giving our closing remark. First, I would like to thank each and every one of us that actually participated in this webinar. I'd like to give a big shout out to all the panelists that, took out time to actually come to give us this beautiful insight and share so much information about the technological advancement on betting. I also want to thank the audience that, took their time to also listen and participated in this lovely webinar of ours. We now know better that betting, there's nothing in life that does not have advantages and disadvantages. We took everyone through the overview of what betting is all about and gambling. And we also talked about the psychological aspect of it, how it can affect us mentally. And we also spoke about a bit about the religious part as well of it, of how, it has effect on each and every one of us. But we all have to have it at the back of our mind that whatever risk or betting that we're going to be doing, if you're legally, of age to start betting, you do it at your own risk. So it's a decision that we all, do at our own risk and discretion as well. So, but it was really beautiful sharing all this knowledge. And if you want to also throw questions after the webinar, you can kindly leave questions on our socials. You can go to our socials and, you'll find us there and you can throw any further questions that you may have. So, Jojo?
Hi.
All right. So is there anything any contributions that you may want to add or any other thing you may want to say?
No, Chloe, I had a swell time and it was such an insightful conversation. I'm not so much of a fan of bettings and gamings, but the conversation today was so interesting. I felt like I have gotten one or two experience in the gaming segment. I could only sit and watch football, but it's so nice to be in such a webinar as this to share like minds with experts in that field. It's interesting. And it's nice to meet you, Mr. Ayo, Mr. Anointing Emeka, and Mr. Shedrack as well, including Jamilat. This was a very interesting conversation, and I hope that this kind of webinars are organized often, so we could just have to share a lot of insights and educate ourselves on more of what we need to be aware of in terms of technology. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking with everyone and having this conversation as well.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. And I wish you all a happy weekend. And we look forward to hearing more from you guys. And we shall be keeping all of you close to us. Thank you so much once again. And do have a lovely weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.